god, hi Shy, hi. Alright, if it makes you uncomfortable, I will
With my head shut in
deafen.
your mouth.
No, it's okay if you want to be here.
Yes,
We were
yes, yes.
talking about relationships earlier.
Okay.
How are you willing to share how you like handle like finances and a division of labor in your relationship?
Alright. I make money, Jelly handles the money. That's
Okay.
how it works.
And who does the most homework? Like
Oh
chores,
shit.
taking care of the kid.
Huh?
Who takes care of the kid, labor, stuff like that, like chores? Or no, like mostly.
It's all Jelly.
Yeah,
So you have like a very traditional like housework thing.
It's to avoid fights, to be honest.
You used to fight over shit.
Not really, but
It makes it like clear who's shit.
yeah, like it's good to have like a clear division of labor, because yeah, that way it's either sorry, if you don't, it's always we don't really know who's doing what, therefore either nobody does anything or everybody does the same thing, and it's usually not that efficient. And if there's no efficiency in the housework, you know, finance, etc., then fights occur and nobody has a good time.
I mean, I'm very open to that. I think it's very important though that you just like it feels even at least. Like it doesn't feel like one person is doing more.
You're indirectly shitting on me, okay? Let me defend myself. My, I was telling them, our culture here, it's not both parents provide for the household, it's just the father. And then the woman just exists, and she can have her own money.
And to be clear, she doesn't do any of the housework either because you just get a maid.
No, I never. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Okay, and my point basically is at that
Okay,
point.
but who's gonna be managing the maid? Who's gonna be like,
Oh
Yeah, I mean,
shit.
it probably still takes an hour a day. You're so right, an hour of labor a day. Again, I think at that point, the man is just paying for companionship, and you make of that what you will.
I'll find a back door.
Penis.
Mario, if you were
Oh.
wouldn't you just be happy to be provided and alive?
I think it depends.
I think I over-exaggerated it, but now they think that I'm being unfair, like I'm gonna absolutely vacuum the money.
I mean, okay, to be clear, okay, I also said if
It really-
works in your culture, that's totally fine. I don't see an issue, right? If the man is happy with it and it's like still worth it for him, and you're happy with it, it's worth it for you. That's okay, I guess. It just sounds very.
Whoa! Wow!
Get the fuck out!
You guys know that clip of some guy trying to pronounce a word and he gives up and he's like, Yallah.
Oh yeah, he's trying to say literally.
Oh shit.
Literally. I love that clip so much.
Stuff a lot of life. Anyway, I think the perfect relationship.
Can someone kill me and can someone heal me? I mean, can someone kill Bull?
Which one?
Kill Bull.
Nice.
He's still alive.
It's okay, it's
Kill
okay.
him, please.
It's okay. It's cool, I got it.
Shai,
You
do
don't got it.
Like,
I don't believe. Okay, got it. It was on me.
Shai, do you feel like the division of like things in your relationship would be fine if you didn't have a kid?
What do you mean it would be fine?
Like I don't know how much housework takes, but I feel like working.
What the fuck was that
pool?
pool?
Housework. If you don't have a kid. Make sense? Okay, so I'll ask one more time. If
Yeah.
you divide like you're in charge of making sure money comes in, you're working probably 9 to 5 or whatever. Would you feel like back when Shelly did like housework, right? I think she worked though, right?
Yeah.
She did work.
Yeah, she did, yeah.
Okay, if she did just the housework, so just cooking, cleaning, didn't work, and you didn't have kids, would that still feel fair to you, or would it feel like unbalanced?
Yeah, because if I'm taking her into my life, then that means I have the capability of doing that, right? Like, being able to handle both of us on my own. Otherwise, I don't know, that would be a really scary life to live if you aren't able to do that? Because what if you can't work, right? And then let's say your wife also doesn't or can't. I don't know. Depends. I always look at it in a way that the wife can't work. So just so that I know how much I should be saving and, you know, when it comes
What do
to...
you mean?
I'm rambling right now. Yeah,
Are
okay.
you going into a relationship with the mindset of wife can't work?
It's better that way because it prepares me for the worst. I find that to be more stable if I try to do everything on my own.
Okay,
But
fuck you, Genji.
to add on top of that, if both of us are capable of like working as well, then that means we save a lot more in our finances as well. Meaning we get to do more things and we get to live a very prosperous life.
Why did Genji do that?
I'm really unsure about how much should be shared in a relationship.
It depends on your situation.
So-
Yeah.
Depends on needs as well, man.
Yeah,
I could
exactly.
really like. I like the image of like sharing everything. Like you're going together through thick and thin, all that, right? That idea. I think I like that. And both just do like the best they can, whatever that may be. Everyone has like their own set of skills, and you work towards the same goal.
But what if the best they can, best you guys can is exactly the reason why you guys are fighting? Because you two will have
yeah,
different perspectives.
Yeah. You need to have like the same goals, or need to have really good way of making sure you're working towards each other's goals together evenly. If that makes sense. I think that's really hard to balance though. If you have like different goals and you're trying to go like two different ways, but you're trying to go them together, maybe that just doesn't work.
You will eventually reach a point where both sides will feel like they're doing more than the other,
Yeah.
right? And how do you
can-
solve that situation?
Communication?
I mean,
Right.
kind of what I was getting at is that another way that I
It just
could, like,
seems
really-
easy at a time, and then, like, when things happen and you're like emotionally charged, sometimes we don't really think about it. All
Oh,
the things that
fucking
we
hell.
should be
I hate that
thinking
all.
about.
Run.
Nice.
Why is her ult a literal fucking nuke? It's so scary.
Just don't let them hit you, I guess.
Yeah, I could also really like the image of having a relationship where you just have two people, you sort of do
Oh
your
yeah,
own
that's
thing.
that's
right?
the
You each
ideal
have, like,
Sims life, yeah.
I like your mask.
You each have like your own like little area
I said I
that
like
you
your
like
mask,
thrive in,
dude.
and sometimes you like come together where it's like worth making a joint effort.
Come.
What percentage you think that a relationship should be in terms of like effort in a relationship?
50-50.
I think these get like so meaningless so fast, and it's just like nice phrases like 60-40 and you should both strive for 60, or like 100-100, shit like that, and it's so corny.
I
can
say 50-50, but I think it's hard to gauge like what worth is like whatever you're doing in the relationship to each other or for each other.
I think you should like give 100 always, and maybe if like long term it feels like you're just not getting anything back, or the other person isn't trying the same to give you like what they can, then it feels like bad.
Ooh.
But like, for example, if Shelly, if she got into a car accident,
Hello.
right?
That's got grim.
If your wife got into a car accident and she was like bedridden, I feel like it'd be totally fine for you to like do 100 for a while. Of course, you'd expect that if she gets better, she's gonna try to like do good for you as well. But I think you should like do as much as you can.
Oh shit! What the fuck? But yeah, I like where Aka was going with that. It shouldn't be 50-50 or any other percentage. It should be 100 and 100.
I mean, if you can, like if you can't, it makes sense. Sometimes you give less. But so let's go.
Like your 100% can depend on the day, but at least you're giving it your all, and you're still also considering
Yeah.
the other, other person's circumstances. Then a relationship
with
will
that.
work. But just
Oh no, I'm so
don't
fucked.
hold back when it comes to like, what you're supposed to be doing for the other person and yourself. Self-care is also important. Aka, if you want to have like a proper conversation about this, I need to not be distracted. Okay. You want to keep talking about this?
I feel like I said most that was like immediately on my mind, unless you
Okay.
have like a good jumping off point that you want to get on.
Cause you had this idea of like being able to share workload and then what was it? You had this
Okay.
ideal life with your partner.
No. I'm saying I'm unsure. There's
Mhm.
two possible relationship dynamics that I really like the idea of, but I can see like problems with both of them.
Mhm.
So, or like actually one I think is more realistic. So first would be like the whole like us against the world. Okay,
Mhm.
you marry someone or you're like in a relationship, and you're a unit. You go through life together. You strive towards similar things, and you work on that. And you both give it your all. Okay, like that kind of works. But I feel like once your interests become too different, or maybe you have different goals, um, I don't know, family, whatever, friends that pull you in different directions, that's gonna fall apart. Maybe this works if you like only keep that dynamic, I guess, when it comes to building a family. Then I could see it working. The other is that you're just two different people that both have like their own things going on. You both have like own interests, own fields of like where you're comfortable.
Mhm.
And sometimes you just come together to work on something. Like you help each other out, you support each other, but fundamentally you have like two different paths in life. I think that one's maybe a bit more realistic, especially at my age, probably.
Should you be thinking about what's ideal and what's realistic and all that? I don't know. I feel like for me, and I feel like my example shouldn't be an example that anyone follows because I really did get lucky in a way. Like I just ended up with Jelly and then it just happens to work when I'm with Jelly. For me though, I did make a lot of changes in my life that I used to be comfortable with in order to, make this relationship work. But that's also because I thought staying with her is more valuable than being comfortable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't see where you're going though.
Right? Because
Are you just saying like you have your own path and that's why no one else should like follow that exactly? Because everyone has like different levels of comfort and whatnot, or different things they're willing to give to a relationship.
I think expectation is poison.
Hmm.
I think having like a thing where you expect the other person to do something to me is very very toxic thing to think about. When things happen out of a surprise, like when Jelly suddenly does something for me that I didn't even think to do until I probably will realize later on that I needed to do that. But like washing clothes and shit like that, like when you come home and it's done already, it makes you feel good, right? But when you expect her to do it and she didn't do it, that gives off a different feeling. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't think I have those expectations though. I
You
think
will have an
I'm also
expectation. You will. You just
probably,
naturally will.
but
Yeah.
I'm also talking about like I'm very certain that it would feel terrible for me to be in a relationship that's like very lopsided.
You will
Probably
feel that way
just
all the
because
time.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, there will be a point where you feel that way. What would you
No.
do?
Okay, this is gonna be a non-answer, but
Mhm.
I feel like you just have to be compassionate, and that's literally it. Hopefully you're at a point in a relationship where you've like built up enough rapport, where you're like comfortable with each other to give the other person the benefit of the doubt. And you're like, okay, I can understand why currently it doesn't feel like I like this is a reciprocal relationship, but it feels like I'm giving more. You just have to like swallow that out, I feel like.
And I think that's your opinion right now without distractions, right? So let's say let's say you're about to get kicked out because you aren't able to make rent. And both of you are working. It's just you do kind of feel like the other person isn't, taking up what they should be, which is like maybe working on the weekends, stuff like that. I'm making a hypothetical.
Hmm.
I don't know. How would you feel in that moment? Like, what would you do?
Um,
Like, how would you communicate with her?
maybe this is too much of a hypothetical to give like a good answer because it
No, I'm
depends so
just
much on the
yeah.
dynamic you have.
I'm just turning you into a victim because you will feel that way.
I mean, I feel like it's just like the most normal thing to bring that up. Complain, I guess. Complain.
Yeah, you're getting somewhere with that.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. What are you getting at, I guess?
What would follow after complaint?
I mean, again, depends on the relationship. Maybe there's someone who's like understanding or like who's willing to like change, even if they don't feel the same way. They see me complaining and are willing just to change just because of that. Maybe it's gonna turn into a fight. They feel like they're in the right. Maybe
I was
we
getting
find
there.
out. Maybe we find out where the limitations are of like
Oh,
our
yeah? Oh,
relationship
yeah?
expectations.
That's real.
Like
Oh,
how
hi,
we want
Koma.
this thing to
Sorry.
work.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a million ways this could go. So it's hard to answer that in a hypothetical.
I feel like complaint in that kind of like environment, like stressful environment, will almost always lead to a fight.
I don't think fights are bad in relationships.
But it's how you recover from that fight is what's going to define your relationship with this person, I guess. Or maybe you won't recover at all. There's going to be some challenges because as human beings, you will always want more. And once you achieve more, then you don't really think about what's happening behind you, what you're forgetting. Sometimes it will bite you in the ass. Sometimes it doesn't, but it's just going to be like a slow build up where you just realize later on that maybe a house needs repairs or, car broke down. We didn't get it serviced, so now we have to pay like a large sum to fix it. It often leads to money, I guess, when it comes to problems like this. But yeah, if you keep it under control, I feel like you'll get over it quickly. It's just when you don't, what do you do when that happens? Is what I always think about.
One thing that's like very interesting to me, and I guess you already fall into the group of people with long relationships, is how you manage to keep them that long, I guess. Specifically because kind of as you kind of touched on that, like problems will keep building and they'll become more and more apparent, and there'll probably like be grudges that like grow. I feel like eventually in most relationships that I've seen end at least, eventually that's like the downfall. Like you have little things here and there at first, like maybe they go unaddressed, maybe you even address them, but there's always like a lingering feeling of hurt, I guess. And then there's like one big fight, but really it feels like even if you solve that fight, there's still gonna be like the underlying problem. And the only reason the fight is that extreme is because you have like so much, I don't know what's the term. I guess you're just upset like from things that happened in the past.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you're not even
Reasons
aware of
can
that
vary.
necessarily.
Yeah.
So with like long-lasting relationships, it feels strange to me. Like, do you just not have fights? Are you like much better at handling conflict that you actually solve the problem?
You have to be, I think. If you want like a long-lasting relationship where you have this person that you can trust with anything, I think you'll eventually, find yourself like fighting with this person often because you guys care. And it's always about, how you recover from that fight. Like, how far do you want to take it? Do you want to win? Or do you want to make this work?
Dude, okay, actually, this one thing I hate about fights so much. There's actually a million things. Obviously, fights aren't fun. But there's like a million levels that you have to navigate somehow and not fuck up. You have to be like emotional and like actually address the emotion sometimes. And not be, I guess, socially inept. That's obviously very important. But there's also always like a factual level. There's always like an actual issue at hand, right? You're not arguing over nothing. You're arguing over, I don't know, like maybe you were supposed to do the dishes but didn't. That's a bit of a silly example. But there's always like an underlying factual basis that has to be addressed. There's also just different ways in which people handle fights. Like, maybe you've experienced this. I think there's people that are when they have a fight, they want to like solve it right now. They want to like, even if if it takes 5 hours of an argument, they want to have that and then be done with it. And then there's people that like say something along the lines of, I'm going up to my room, I'll be back in 5 hours, and then we'll
Oh,
talk
yeah.
again.
Mm.
And it feels like there's always emotions, in the sense of, like you mentioned, you want to win. Like if you have an argument, it quickly becomes personal, and you don't want to lose. You kind of want to win, and you also have to be aware of that. Just like in yourself, you have to be aware of that in the other person. I guess what I'm saying is, there's just 10 million different things that you have to be aware of, and if you don't address them well, there'll always be crutches that build.
I don't know about addressing them too, to be honest. You know, like a fight could happen from just you like pointing things out each time you notice them, right? And then that person will, you know, just keep nodding their head until to the point where they just feel like you're doing it because you just want to make me feel bad. Sorry, I just mumbled just now. Yeah. But when that happens, I don't know. Like that's another fight, right? And if you don't mention it, then you're probably going to bottle it up, or it's just going to come up in an argument later on, and then it's going to be a whole flutter thing where it just sounds like you're trying to hurt the other person by mentioning these things now, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it really depends on like how much you can tolerate. Like some things you can tolerate, you should like make effort and tolerate that, rather than like trying to fix it right away. Because I don't know, what if that person doesn't look at it as a problem, and to them you're just being, I don't know, nitpicky, hysterical.
Actually, I disagree. I think you should probably be, or maybe, okay, maybe this is just because I'm not very nitpicky usually. I think. I think you should be nitpicky though. Like if you have a problem, you should probably bring it up, even if it's silly. Yeah. It'll just feel terrible for you to be in a relationship where you have a problem, but you don't want to bring it up because you
Yeah, well, I think
feel
you
like
can.
it's not valid.
Yeah.
I can see someone though who's like just completely miserable and they have like a million things. Like maybe
Maybe
you
they
talk
shouldn't be in a
weird way,
relationship.
maybe you breathe too loud. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
maybe
you
that's
chew
something
too
that, you know,
much.
they have to look into themselves for. Yeah. But
Yeah, I could see that being very annoying. But let's say you have someone who never complains and they bring up, man, I hate the way you breathe.
Mm.
I feel like that's valid.
Yeah, that sounds
Even though
personal.
it like
Yeah.
seems super silly.
Yeah.
But it can get too much.
No, but yeah, like stuff that's worth mentioning and you feel like you need to mention it, and it happens to be like the 10 things that you noticed in one day. I think if you can do it in a way that introduces this problem to this other person whilst being able to diffuse it at the same time, and like calmly discuss what you want to talk about, then that's one of like few ways I see it working with your partner. I get that.
Wait, do you manage to do that? Like, bring up an issue and keep emotions out of it entirely?
To be honest, I'm the one with less issues. When it comes to like me having problem with
mean-
Jelly, there's really not much.
Okay.
Like that I can think of at least. Like in our relationship, Jelly's the juggernaut that, you know, pushes us forward, right? And all I have to do is make sure that she's balanced and she doesn't trip over anything. That's how our relationship is working. Sorry?
That's really sweet. I think that's really sweet.
Yeah,
At
but
least you
without
would
her,
do
I
it
don't
that
move
way.
forward though. Right? So I need her for this, and then she needs me to make sure that, you know, nothing's getting in the way. Yeah, that's the balance that we found ourselves in, I think. So maybe if the other person's, let's say, habit or action, or I don't know, whatever they do during the day complements your life, I think it's going to be effortless how you want to like maintain this relationship. But if it doesn't and you still want to work it out, I feel like that's going to be stressful. And if you don't reach a solution, then you should move on, is how I see it.
Yeah, fair
But
enough.
Yeah, like when it comes to a long-term relationship, obviously I've only had one. So yeah, my idea is not a fit-all thing. Like it doesn't. It's not like a puzzle piece that solves every problem.
Yeah, again, I think just one thing that I'm super curious about. Maybe I need to like I should just try more doing this. But in the moment, I always forget. Just with friends, family, relationship, whatever, being able to bring up an issue without making the other person feel like shit, without making them feel like you're attacking them. You know, it feels like whenever you want to talk about affected hand, like an issue that you're not even emotional about, it's just kind of something you'd like to change.
Uh-huh.
It feels like it becomes an argument super quickly. And I don't feel like this is specific to me. I think I've seen this with other people. Yeah, I wonder how to do that.
You know who's good at that in our community? The first person I think of is Flakes. She will aggressively introduce like what she think on things, right? But she does it in a way that is it always ends up in a she introduces a vision that, she sees that we would sympathize with, if that makes sense. And
I think it makes sense.
Yeah,
Listen, since
yeah?
she's here, I think we can talk shit, okay? I can talk shit.
Oh.
I just don't think I've seen that.
Uh-huh. Sorry, I just noticed. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that. I can kind of understand what you're saying though.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but
also,
it always ends up in
I-
like aggression, is what you said, right?
No way. She used to be the case, like fucking 4 years ago or 3, 2, whatever, long while ago though.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she's avoidant.
Well, she has somebody else to
she doesn't
confide in with her
confront.
issues now, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. She
I'm
doesn't
not saying
need you,
on,
bro.
No, I'm not. No, wait.
Yeah,
wait,
yeah,
wait.
yeah,
I'm not
okay.
saying on an
Yeah.
interpersonal. No, wait, no. I'm not saying on a psychological level she's avoidant. I'm saying when she has a problem with someone else, she's pretty avoidant in that. Like, for example, I feel like if Flakes would go to like a convenience store
Uh-huh.
and she's waiting in line and someone else takes her spot in line, I feel like she wouldn't say shit. She would avoid that.
I wouldn't either, I think. Because I don't know what that changes.
Yeah, and like
That sounds stressful.
even that's kind of that's a stranger, I guess, so I can understand there. But I feel like she'd do that in more other areas as well.
Hmm.
So much for talking shit.
So you are the type to sorry, I'm just choosing my words and I don't know why. It's you. I'm talking to you. Like not enforce rules, but more like there's an expectation in society and you would like everybody to respect that? Is the word?
Not sure. I'm really not sure. Are you saying that with like the convenience store example?
Are you the type to say something if someone cuts in line?
If they cut in front of me, yeah.
Okay.
Not if they cut somewhere else. Fuck that.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Right. Okay, so you're saying you're able to stand up for yourself, right?
Um,
But-
depends on how big they are.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm gonna be honest. If that's some scary man, maybe not. Maybe not.
You'll choose your battles. Okay.
If it's like a small grandma, it seems like she's just kind of lost. I'm not gonna make her feel bad.
Oh yeah. Okay, I see that. But wait, hold on. So how does this? Let me bring us back to the point then. Okay, so you're talking about how you should be talking to your friends about stuff that you feel.
I'm kind of lost as well now.
Your question was
guess-
huh? Yeah, go.
Okay, I guess the initial point where we kind of jumped into all this was if you have a problem with someone, be it relationship, friends, whatever, it's pretty hard for me to bring up that topic without making the other person feel bad, which often can turn into a fight, I guess. But even if it doesn't, the other person feels bad at least. And that's like terrible because I don't want to make you feel bad. I just want to like sit down, see if we can work on that. If we can't, that's probably fine too. But just so we talked about it. So I was wondering about how to not make the other person feel bad. And then you mentioned, if I remember correctly, that Flakes is very good at that by like bringing in a vision of how things should be in like a very positive way, not making the other person feel bad, but making it feel like you're building something, I guess. Like you're moving forward.
You make the other person feel bad. You know this, but you don't know how to solve it.
Yeah, I think people in general do this though. I don't think I'm particularly bad at this, but it just comes up so much.
Oh, so you're
That's
not
the next thing.
aware of when it happens, but then
Like,
you'll find out that it was happening?
no. Let's go back to
Mm-hmm.
the example of how you divide things in a relationship.
Yeah.
Let's say it feels like you're just not, the other person isn't putting as much effort into the relationship as you are. And then you want to bring that up with your partner.
Okay.
I think that conversation of how you sit down the other person, how you say, well, it feels like I'm doing all these things and you're not, and it feels unfair to me.
Mm.
That conversation and conversations like that oftentimes feel, what's the term? Like you put each other against each other. That makes sense? It feels confrontational. It's very confrontational. It feels like you make it into a fight quickly.
Yeah, I know this is a hypothetical, but your wording is, I think, what makes it so confrontational. I think it's because by saying that it feels unfair to me, you made it about you, right? And that also excludes the other person from the victimhood, which makes them feel like they need to prove themselves to be also a victim. Does that make sense?
Sure, yeah.
So what you could be doing in the scenario that you drew there is to me what I would do is I would introduce the problem without including myself and my emotion in it. So meaning we ain't got no money. What can we do about that?
No. But that's not. Let's say you have enough money.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, let's go a little more specific, okay? Like a traditional relationship.
Yeah.
You work a 9 to 5, maybe even more. You work overtime, and you have to like commute 1.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So you're busy all day. Okay, you get home, you're fucked. And your wife, she doesn't work. She's in charge of. You don't have kids. She's just in charge of taking care of the home, maybe cooking.
Right.
And then you also bought a maid, okay? With the money you make, you have a maid that cleans. So she just has to cook. And she barely does that, okay? She does pretty bad cooking, okay? She does like low effort, frozen foods, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That type of thing. And I feel like it's pretty understandable that then you don't really have an issue, right?
Mm.
You get food, the house clean, but it just doesn't feel even, the relationship. Because you spend all day working while your wife's at home relaxing. So there's no like real problem. The problem is just how you feel about it. So how can you not bring in your emotions? Because that's really your complaint.
If that's the case, then I feel like I'm not working smart. So it's either I will try to make work easier for myself whilst, not damaging any other aspect of, what I bring back to home. Or, sorry, the second option that I thought of was very passive aggressive. I don't know why. I don't know why I thought about that. But I feel like I would reduce the amount of effort that I put in at home and see if there's a reaction that comes out of it.
Okay.
Then
I feel like that's the most terrible way to handle
yeah,
this.
I know. So
You
I'll
just-
go with the first one usually.
I mean, I think that's pretty normal. You always do that, right? You people are lazy. You don't want to work, so obviously. That doesn't really solve the problem, though.
Because the traditional household, it does seem like the husband is the boss, right? And then
Yeah.
and then the wife tend to in your scenario work smart.
Wait,
she's
no.
she's
I
not
think both
overworking.
people I think both people try to work smart, and I'd say in a traditional relationship, it's probably the woman getting the woman who has like to do more work, probably, especially if you have kids. I feel like if you have kids, it's probably usually the wife in a traditional relationship that does more. I'd guess. But obviously, if you don't have kids and you can afford a maid and all that, which is kind of how I laid out this hypothetical, then it's different.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Then I guess
Just
I don't
have
know.
kids, so she has to do more work.
No, but what lured you to this person anyway? Like, what is the reason for? I feel like that's a trophy wife situation, isn't it? You're earning enough to support your wife, and then your wife is like not doing much because kids raising, nanny's doing it. You know, there's maids at home.
Either way, I feel like what like if we can get away from the specific
Oh
example,
yeah, okay, okay.
it's really about kind of the feeling you're in, right? You have a disagreement about how you handle the relationship,
Hmm?
and the main point is how you feel. It's not that you have too little money, so you're like, let's sit down and figure out how to have more money. The problem is simply that you feel like it's unfair.
Mm.
So how do you handle that?
By seeing what I'm not seeing, I find out why I feel this way, and I find out why it's happening. Is how I go about it, I guess. If that was happening between myself and Jelly, I would talk to her about why I feel this way.
Yeah, I mean, sure, that's kind of what I would do too. I'm just saying the way in which you have that conversation,
Uh-huh.
where you're like, okay, listen, honey, I'm not trying to attack you. I'm just feeling like this relationship isn't even. Whatever, it feels really bad that I like come home, I'm like working all day, I'm super overworked, and you're just chilling. You're not really adding much to the relationship. Obviously, I phrased that really poorly. But the way how to phrase that without attacking the other person, that's kind of what I'm getting at. I think that's really difficult, especially since maybe you don't even want to attack the person, right?
Didn't you
Especially
just
in
do
the
it
case
great
of
right
work,
now?
you don't-
You just gave the example of what you should do in that situation by giving that example.
I swear to God, I think first of all you could do way better, and secondly, it'd be very understandable if you get angry at that. If like the wife in this case gets angry at that, or feels like she has to defend herself, that's very understandable.
You can talk about how tired you are. That's what you did just now, right?
Yeah. But again, if you say it feels like I'm really tired. I work so much,
Yeah.
and it's making me feel bad to see how much you're enjoying life.
Oh,
just laying
well,
around.
that may set
Because-
an aggression.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
problem.
I'm saying no matter how you whatever way you phrase it, it becomes like very antagonistic very quickly. And essentially the point is, and I don't think you'll have like a good answer, is it's hard to bring up issues without making it antagonistic. That's kind of
Can't you just guide the conversation?
make it sound so easy.
Oh, right. Okay, so your example, you could just cut it off before you get to the part where I see you doing nothing, right? Like you don't have to mention that part. Cause is that a fact? Do you actually know that this person does nothing? Like, did you spend time with them? Were you there when they were doing nothing? And what does that nothing mean anyway? Like I don't know. There's no way that person does nothing. That's how I feel about like any relationship. It's just you feel that way, right? But you don't have to mention that part. You can stop
No,
halfway
I think there's probably a relationship where there's like an actual underlying issue.
huh?
Yeah, dude, you could absolutely imagine a situation where, again,
Mhm.
husband works like 9 to 5,
Right?
3 hours of commute total. So that's 11 hours. So you have, I guess, 5 hours left in the day.
Okay.
Probably some eating, getting ready for work, whatever. Compared to like 1 hour doing groceries and food, or 2. And like the wife does nothing else for the rest of the day. I'm not saying this is common, but like that's definitely a
Yeah.
situation where that could happen.
And you have to stay at your job, right? You feel cornered, I guess.
Yeah, like don't like try to chip away at the edges of this argument too much. It's
I feel
really
like
just
that's
about-
really important though. Like in a relationship. The outside
okay,
factors.
I feel like it's pretty obvious that you could come up with an example where there's no way to chip away at the edges. There's like some factual basis to where there's actually like something unfair going on, and you feel bad about that in a relationship, and you want to bring it up.
Okay. You want to bring it up. That's the key
Yeah,
thing.
there's a factual issue, and you want to bring it up.
Factual.
It's just like the only point I'm really getting at is it's hard to have those types of conversations.
You feel a certain way and you want to
Basically.
communicate that to the other person.
Yeah,
Right?
without making them mad. Yeah.
Right. We're not thinking about anything else but that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'll try to make the other person talk about it. right? So that is what I said before. Yeah. So in a scenario of where I feel tired and I feel like the other person isn't, doing enough, I'll mention that I'm tired, which will probably provoke the other person to talk about how tired they are as well. And then I get to hear what they did during the day. And then I'll decide if that's like worth their time or not.
Okay,
But
and what if you feel like, fuck off, you're not doing shit? You're tired going to the park? You're tired after going to like Disneyland? The fuck?
you sound like a person who needs that time out that you mentioned before, like people who need to like take a break and go into a room or something. I don't know. That I feel like you're assessing this situation logically and then digesting it emotionally. And that's what I don't understand about these examples that you're giving. That's
I mean,
how
that's
I'm
kind of what
seeing
I
it,
brought up earlier. There's two levels to a disagreement. There's factual and there's emotional.
right?
And it feels pretty important that you establish like what are the facts, and then you talk about like how you feel. And it could even be like I know like factually this doesn't seem like it's the case, but it just feels bad to me. That's also fair to bring up. You just have to be aware of both. Also, how dare you say I'm someone who needs to take like a step away from a conversation?
I feel like you could use that though, if you're the type
Yeah,
of person.
I could. But I think I prefer if it's like confrontational and like immediate.
Sounds lonely. But that wasn't a jab. That wasn't a jab. I was just putting myself in those shoes
Can
that you were waving.
can we take a prompt from the chat?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Caro, what do you mean it's seen a bit one-sided?
Oh boy. Hi, Carol.
No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just curious. Don't say oh boy. Don't make it bad. See, this is what I mean.
No, I know.
You're bringing in the bad vibe.
No, you and Carol is like water and oil.
No,
It just never
we get along
blends.
great. We're like vinegar and oil, okay? We still don't blend, but we're like a perfect match.
All right, hi. Yeah, what do you mean? Yeah, one-sided. Because we are talking about like one side of the relationship, right? And how would you deal with that? Because we are one person, and when we're in a relationship, we don't really know what goes on in the other person's head. Yeah, so the question that Aka was asking, I don't know if you want me to word it for you. Do you want to repeat it?
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, so you feel a type of way about this other person because it seems like you're doing more than the other person. I say seems, but let's say you're convinced that you're doing more than the other person. How would you deal with that situation? Oh, flakes.
Flex, could you imagine that there's a relationship where one person is willing to give a lot more than the other? Is that like conceivable for you?
Actually, Aka, that's a question that I could ask. Have you ever had anyone in your life who, like, no matter what they do, you would forgive them for?
Sure, yeah.
Right? Can you think about a person like that that you are in a relationship with?
Here's the point though. I feel like eventually, after like a year, I wouldn't anymore.
Right? But at least you'll have that memory of the feeling that you have towards that person. And that really is what a relationship is like, is how I see it. You'll still take into account of who they used to be to you, right? No matter like, how many years passes. Like, there's a reason why you ended up together. And then you also think about that whilst being angry at that person.
So I'm gonna cut you off. Fuck
Okay,
off.
go.
Carol says, I think people have different amounts of energy. So the one staying at home, cooking and cleaning, doing the chores, feels exhausted, just like the one working all day. So both are tired when the one working comes home. It's easy for the other to overlook what the other is doing. So I would agree with you. And in traditional relationships, I also said this in this conversation, in traditional relationships, I feel like the wife is probably usually doing more, especially if you have kids. But in this case, we specifically said you have a maid cleaning and doing the chores, and cooking, you do like the bare minimum cooking, like frozen foods and whatnot. So it's probably like 1 hour doing the chores if we're generous, 1 hour cooking if we're being generous. And on the point of people having different levels of energy, or like amounts of energy that they are able to expend, I think that's fair. And yeah, I think that's pretty hard to, how do you say? It's pretty hard to be empathetic with that. Obviously, like, I earlier gave the example of if your partner got into a car crash and was like hospitalized. For me, it would be pretty easy to say, okay, obviously I'm not gonna do anything to hospitalized, so I'm willing to do everything. But on like a day-to-day basis, it's very hard to like adjust for people having different amounts of energy. Like how much you account for that.
Usually, if you are the only person who's like looking after the whole family, I guess, yeah, it can feel hard. That's true. Yeah, it does feel like you're the only person who's contributing to this family. That's understandable.
Also, I just want to say, Flakes, please don't feel bad.
That's exactly. That was the question that Aka was asking. Like, how do you mention this without making the other person feel bad, and then Flakes feels bad?
Listen, Flakes, listen. I'm sure your husband is like very happy with what you're providing, how much effort you're putting in. Your hands are bound because of the situation you're in to a large extent, and also you're a trophy wife. Okay, you can sit at home and be pretty, and I'm sure you'll be very happy. Please don't be mad.
But yeah, if it's a scenario of like, everything is taken care of, but wife does nothing at home. Yeah, I always fall back to like, what attracted you to her in the first place? I feel like that plays a big role in the way you would solve this problem, or whatever you feel. That's like a huge factor. Because we're talking about a hypothetical person who doesn't exist that you would be in a relationship, right? Because we're talking in like first person perspective. I think reason will change a lot of things. The reason why you're with this person. That's a relationship.
Yeah, sure. I don't think I have much to add there.
How are you doing, Aka?
I'm doing great.
Mm?
I'm
How-
fantastic.
Have you been involving yourself in like, I don't know, like social activities? Whether
Yeah,
it
of
be
course.
whether it be,
Of course.
going out with a group of people, you're doing the same thing, or
I'm doing fantastic. I'm thriving.
oh,
Okay.
yeah?
I'm on my it girl arc. Okay.
Have you found anyone interesting?
You want to play more, by the way?
Yeah, let's
Okay,
go for one
I'm-
more
I'm
round.
getting off.
Right. I guess trying to change the
Um,
subject.
Have I found anyone? No.
Not yet, huh? Hmm.
I think I thought about this recently. Wait, hold on.
About
Yeah,
who
I
you're
thought-
interested in.
No. I thought about if it's like if I believe it's something you should look for, or something. Like if it happens, it happens. And
Yeah,
I think
something
that's
that you should
probably
end up with.
correct
Yeah,
answer.
I think the latter will lead to a very long relationship. But that's just my biased way of seeing it.
I mean, I don't think it's necessarily better, but it probably tends to be. Yeah. I
Like
think- I
it
think
would
it
help with a
probably also
long
pushes.
relationship. Yeah, but the first one
yeah.
also helps too. If you're active
Oh.
about it, at least you're
Let's
not doing
read
nothing.
Some chats. Okay, let's read some chat.
Go.
He left at 6 a.m. 2 days in a row. Neither day I made him breakfast or coffee, but he knows me and mornings don't mix. He doesn't expect anything except for me to rest and be happy. So maybe Aka's just bad person now thinking about it. You're right.
But Flakes, you can't keep that up though. You know that.
No, I think she's right. I think if she just wants to lay around all day, more power to her. And I mean, on a real note, not shitting on you. You kinda illustrated it perfectly, right? Your husband's fine with it, so I don't see any problem. Like, he's probably happy seeing you doing your best, and probably also being like living a happy life. And you getting up at like 5 a.m. in the morning so you can make coffee, being miserable would probably like not make him that much happy.
But Flakes, can you imagine if and knock on wood, if you two do fight?
He's gonna be
That's
like,
going to be the
"All day."
ammunition. I'm just telling you.
So in the example Arga was giving about one in relationship staying at home, no job, and as a mate doing everything, yeah, that is something that should be talked about. If someone working feels it's unfair. I agree, yeah. And the way of how you talk about that was like the initial point. Like, I'm not really complaining about unfair relationships or whatnot. I feel like I could handle that pretty well. I'm also talking about like, it's pretty difficult to bring that up. I feel it's unfair. Yeah. Let's put it that way. So I'm not even saying what you're doing is bad, Flakes. I'm just saying if Has had an issue, and if I was Has, I wouldn't know how to bring it up. Yeah.
Catch you later.
How's that for an answer, To be honest, I didn't hear anything. All I heard was gunshots. Alright, come on in.
This is Flakes. Maybe he just he likes you. He likes you. Maybe that's what's going on. Yeah, I want to be very clear though. I'm not saying one way of handling a relationship is better than another. Like none of the hypotheticals was supposed to be. Yeah.
Why do you sound defeated?
I don't think so. You're mine now.
Defeated me. No, I'm a winner. I just died. Have you maxed out your 401k match?
Huh?
Have you maxed out your 401k?
401k? So American. In Australia, it's illegal for you to not contribute to your own superannuation is what we call it. You know what I mean?
Actually, okay, there's a question. I haven't thought about this. I don't have a take. But I've been wondering. You have a kid.
Ah shit. Huh?
You have a kid.
Yes.
So, given the kid of I cloned the Mercy. What am I gonna? I'm so useless.
I tried to kill Mercy and I died as well.
If you get old, will you expect your kid to play a role in your what's the term? Like pension planning, I guess. That's not the correct term, but taking care of you. How do you look at that? Do you think children are like responsible for taking care of their?
I'm sorry, I missed half of that in anticipation of killing Reaper.
Do you think children should or are responsible of taking care of their old parents, their aging parents?
No? I don't know,
So
my
if
pride
you're-
would never.
Yeah, fair enough. So if you're old, you'd be like, my kid should do whatever they want, and like leave me alone, like have to take care of me. I always had the image that like, especially in like Asian cultures, it's like much more common.
Yeah, but that's because they have no like what's the word? I'm thinking of a word, but it's just not coming at the moment.
Social security?
No.
Like public pensions? Yeah.
Like free Medicare, maybe?
Yeah. That would be social security, by the way.
Oh, is it? I don't know.
Yeah, social security is like free Medicare, and if you're like poor, money for that, shit like that.
Yeah. Like in Asia, that's not common. Like it's all about insurances, having money, and then being able to pay for your troubles. So if you can't work anymore, who is going to take care of you? And then it always falls to their family members, children.
And you're not a fan of that.
Yeah, I'm not about that. I'm not about that life.
It's like your reasoning. Yes. How do you, like,
Well, it's
How
the
do
view
you
that I have with
argue?
my relationship as well, so I don't think that's going to change for my children.
do you have any like reason for that? How you
Reason?
came to that, or are you like? Did you rationalize your way into believing that, or do you just fundamentally believe it?
I think I just don't like relying on people because I don't like being disappointed.
Okay.
Maybe that's the reason. I just really dislike the feeling of disappointment.
You don't want to be disappointed by your children.
Yeah.
Isn't what worse feeling to be disappointed by your own flesh and blood that you raised in all this? It's like you fucked up in every way. You don't have as much control about anyone else, and you fucked up. So I'd cry.
I'm just worried for that moment to happen, that's all. It doesn't have to happen. But it makes me feel secure about not having to rely on other people. Like there's no abnormalities or anomaly, that's the word. Fun things will always happen as long as you have yourself in check. Is how I see it.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna get off.
Go for it. Catch you next time. Bye bye.
You have a great stream.
You too.
You too.
You know the feeling of the awkward moment where you call your teacher mom, right? Or the moment when, enjoy your meal. You too. That moment. You know what I mean?